right, good day, everybody. Welcome back to another episode live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg and the Genesis class. This is a highlight of the week for me. It's always good to be with my own rabbi, hear what he's got to say. He's always got some great stuff to share. And of late, we've had Lee Fogel join us sharing the Brit Shalom book. It's always a joy to have him as well. And we're learning so much there. So to all you out there, we're glad to have you out on Facebook, YouTube, all other social media channels. Let's just jump right in and see how the rabbi's doing. Rabbi Goldberg, how you doing today, sir?
Good evening, everybody from Israel. I'm doing fine tonight. Everything is okay. Thank God. It was lovely to see some of you earlier today with this pledge that we had. I think that Michaela wrote it down in the most exact way. It's amazing to see so many people around the world that are joining this movement. And
in Rome, yes.
Using only the English side, and we have also more languages, and we have more and more people, so it's really great. And hopefully the COVID-19 will pass away, and we will manage also to do a big conference, live conference, all of us together. So it was really good to see all of us today. And we are fine. We're fine, even though in Israel we went inside to the quarantine, but we don't have the bad situation like in England, and hopefully, God bless England, and we don't have a bad, weird situation like in the United States. God bless America. The world is getting crazy today in those days. It's an amazing situation, and we hope that everybody will manage to recover from all of the nonsense around. Only in the Philippines, everything is very calmed down. So good to see you, Lenny, with this thing. Let's dive inside. You know, we have what to learn. And last week we started to speak about Nimrod, and I want to explain this a bit because it's a very important point that we must understand in a profound way, in the right way. So let's do the share screen and let's go inside to the, I think it's here, just a moment. I'm not sure, but if it's not, here it is, yay, come on, here it is. Genesis, we're speaking about chapter. We already came to chapter 10. We started to speak about chapter 10. Chapter 10 is showing us how the sons of Noah got spread over the world before the Babylon tower, before we started the Babylon spread over. And we started to speak a bit about Nimrod. Why isn't this working? I'm sorry. We started to speak about Nimrod, and I said that Nimrod is a bit reminding us things that we saw lately in some of the philosophers, and especially with the philosophers of the philosophy of Nietzsche. Okay, now I need to explain this a bit. And we're going to see this inside the verses, and I'm going to explain this a bit more. We said that we have 3 kids. We will speak about the 3 kids and the spread over already that they have in the world. I'm not sure that we will manage today, but we might start it today. I want, first of all, to speak about Nimrod. So we read verses 8, 9, and 10. Please read them again, Dan, and I will explain them a bit more.
8. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty man in the land. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babylon, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Okay, so when we studying, we said already last week, we studying the word began. Began is we don't know exactly to what way it's going to go. Now we need to understand, and we said it already last time, when someone have a rebellion against what the world is today, the rebellion is good because he wants to bring the world to a better stage. In some sort of a way, also the Noahide movement is a rebellion. Okay, look at all of you who decided to put aside the understanding of the Christian world. It's some sort of rebellion. I, I think it's a good one. I think it's in the right way. Okay, when you look today and you see that the Hebrew people read the Bible in the right way, so you're saying to yourself, I want to do rebellion to what we were taught in all of the history of the world. Today we sat down, Larissa, can I say a few words about this? We sat down a few hours ago with someone that doesn't believe in God, it's okay, but he also doesn't believe in Jesus at all. And in some sort of a way, he's right. He said to me, I don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. And it's true because the Messiah is coming here in this world, and when he will be here, there will be no wars in this world. It's hard to say in the last 2,000 years that there were wars, there wasn't any wars in this world. But we are doing some sort of a rebellion for the past of the world. And Nimrod is starting a rebellion. He is not feeling comfortable with the world and what is happening in the world. But we don't know to what way this is going. He's only in the beginning. So let's read verse number 9 again, please.
Verse 9, and he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Now we're starting to hear that he was a hunter before the Lord. What is the meaning of before the Lord? His rebellions was against God. His rebellions was against God. And again, we need to understand, I'm saying this, we need to be very careful with the words that I'm saying and to understand it in the right way. When someone have rebellions against the situation of the world, he also have rebellions against God. Because who brought the situation to be at this way? God. So when someone have rebellions against bad things in this world, he have also some sort of rebellions against God. But here we have someone who have rebellions against God, mainly against God. I will say it like that. He wants to replace God. He wants to say that he is going to be instead of God. We don't need any God here. When I spoke about Nietzsche last week, I want us to know Nietzsche, I think he is one of the most influences philosophers that we have today. He was, in the late 800s till the beginning of the 19th century. And he spoke about, how did he call it? He said it, he had a very interesting name to this thing. He said that, I think if I remember correctly, he used it with the name, let me find exactly the name. Not Ubermensch, some sort of Ubermensch, okay? Ubermensch is the person above everything. He said that a normal man, or the humanity, I will say it like that, the humanity have 4 stages. And the 4 stages are getting cleaner from God. We don't need to have any God in our world. So at the beginning, there was people believed in God. And then they not only believed, they believed in God, but then they became they decided that God is not inside this world. They put it outside the world. And then they said that he's not here at all. And now we are atheists. And atheist is still a person who have some sort of memorization of God. And we need to move to the 4th step where we don't have any God at all. This is what Nietzsche said. Nietzsche spoke about this. Nietzsche wrote about this Ubermensch. And why do we need to behave normal or behave right or behave good with people? This is because it's very important as a person to behave correctly. But it's not related to God at all. And we don't need to believe in God. And God is only an invention of the man in this world. Now, I said it earlier today. Again, I'm going back to Larissa, and I said to you, Larissa, that we're going to speak about this tonight. The point of decision, the decision point, I will say, if I believe that there is God in this world or not, this is something that I cannot force anybody to believe. This is a position that each one and one of us can take for himself to decide. I believe that there is God or there isn't any God. How someone said it very nicely. I believe that the humankind is only a very perfect animal. Now, everybody can believe that. I think that we spoke about this. I gave a joke last a few weeks ago. Okay, are we coming from the monkey, or we coming from someone? God gave us some sort of a spark inside. We need to realize that this decision, do we believe in God or not, this is something that no one can force us, no one can decide instead of us. But I have a question, and this is something that we need to realize that it's a very profound question. And the question is, from where exactly do we have this free choice to decide what we want to do? Because if I will ask myself, the body side that I have, that is getting all the time food from outside the body to strengthen the body and to be alive, everything that I'm putting inside my body, every food that I'm putting, doesn't have any free choice. The free choice that I have is not coming from the food. So from where exactly do I have this free choice? Some people are saying I have a free choice because I'm a very, very new, I would say, a very Ubermensch, okay? The best animal that we have in this world. But it doesn't have any relation with God or something outside the world. This is what some of the people will say. Others will say, no, you don't understand. There is God who created this world, and he is giving a spark of the soul to a person, to people, and this is why people have freedom to choose what they're doing, what they're not doing, what they're believing, what they're not believing. Now, this position to decide if I believe in God or not, this is something that no one can force anybody else. Everyone can change, can decide his decision. I can't force anybody to decide this one or this way, this path or the other path. But there's a difference if I do believe in this path or not. If I do believe that there is God in this world who decided to withdraw himself and to give space to us as human beings to live here, and therefore I have also the obligation to behave on the same realm and to give space to others to live here. This is where I'm starting to behave in a very kindness way because I'm imitating God. This is one way to live. And the other way to live is to say, there isn't anything here, there isn't any God, and it's all imagination that we people did or brought to this world. And the world is working in a chaotic way. I don't know what will be the end of the days, what is going to happen here. And why do I need to behave normal? Because I'm a person, so I need to behave in a kindness way. This decision, this starting point decision, is my decision. Nimrod decided to go and to be a hunter in front of God and to hunt people against God. He said the most hardest situation here in this world, because we believe in God, this is what is bringing us a lot of problems. And what he's going to do in the next chapter, going to see, he's going to say to all of the people around him, let's build up a very big city, with a very big tower, that this thing of building this thing of the tower and the city and everything else is going to take us generations onwards. So people uh, will born in a time that we didn't finish to build up this tower, and they will die in the time that we didn't finish to build this tower. And let's put aside everything that we call it God, and the only one who is going to be the strongest here and to be the kingdom here, verse number 10, the king of his kingdom, okay, is man. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the most important person here. Everybody's going to obey me. Everybody is going to be under me. And he started to capture places. He was the first one who did those things. Opposed to him, we have someone very, very interesting. His name is Abraham. We all know Abraham. I want to say here, and I'm bringing here things that we have in the oral tradition. You won't find it in the verses, okay? But this is the old tradition. We have the three various of this understanding, where we have Abraham and Nimrod. Abraham, I will say it like that. Father of Abraham, Nahor, he was the main priest in the kingdom of the Nimrod. And he was inventing all sorts of idolatries. And one day he was supposed to go out of town, and he gave Abraham the possibility to keep on the store of all of the, he had a lot of idolatries there. And what Abraham did, an old woman came inside with sacrificing, a lot of food. And Abraham put this food in front of the biggest idolatry, and he broke all the other idolatries. When his father came, he asked him, what happened here? He said to him, look, some woman came inside with a very big plate of food, and all of them started to fight up. And the biggest one took some sort of a hammer, and he managed to kill up and to break down all the other idolatries. So his father told him, you're crazy. Idolatries can't move, can't do anything. So Abraham said to his father, listen to what you're saying. If the idolatries are nothing, why are we worshiping them? So Nahor didn't knew what to do. So he said, you know what? I don't know what to do. I'm bringing you to Nimrod. The king, he will decide what to do with you. And now we have a very interesting conversation. Again, it's passing on the oral tradition in the Midrash, and it's not passing in the writing. And in the old tradition, what it says like that Nimrod said to Abraham, why have you done all of this? So Abraham said to him, listen, it's nothing, all of those idolatries. I believe only in God. And Nimrod said to him, listen, I also believe with you that it's nothing, all of those things, and everybody's supposed to worship me. So Abraham said to him, but you also only a man. And he said to him, so what do you believe, Abraham? Nimrod said to Abraham, so what do you believe in? Abraham said to him, I believe in God. Nimrod said, listen, I believe in the fire. The fire is the most powerful thing here, and worship the fire. So Abraham said to him, but the water is managing to shut down the fire. Take a fire, put water on the fire, and the fire won't. So maybe we need to worship the water. So Nimrod said to him, you know what? Let's worship the water. So Abraham said to him that, the clouds are managing to move the water from one side to another side. Therefore, the clouds are much more powerful than the water. So Nimrod said to him, you know what? So let's worship the clouds. So Abraham said to him, but the clouds also can't move from one side to another side. without the wind. So let's worship the wind. So Nimrod said to him, you know what? Okay, let's worship the wind. So Abraham said to him, but man can stand and the wind will come very fast and very hard, but still man can stand in front of the wind and it won't obey to the wind. So Nimrod said to him, okay, so let's worship man. You need to worship me, as I said from the beginning. So Abraham said to him, but yes, but if I'll put men inside the fire, so the fire will manage to burn men. So maybe we need to worship the fire. So Nimrod was very annoyed from Abraham. And he said to him, you're just playing games with me. I'm worshiping the fire. And if you want to worship the fire, well, fine. If not, I will throw you inside the fire. And then your God, let him take you out from the fire, or you will die. And this is what happened. They threw out Abraham to the fire, and God took him out from the fire. Okay? There is a verse saying something interesting about this. Maybe we will see this verse for a moment. So it's hinting for this situation. A very similar verse to what we said, that God took the Hebrew nation out from Egypt. There is also there's a verse, very similar verse. Please read verse number 7. And God said to him,
7, and he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you forth from Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it.
Okay, so here it said, I brought you forth, I brought you forth from Ur, but here it says, Asher hotzeitircha me'ur kasdim. I took you out from where? Ur kasdim. What is Ur? Ur is the fire. They threw you to the fire, and I took you out from the fire. Now, it's very interesting why the Midrash is saying to us that the main debate between Abraham and Nimrod was with the fire situation. And we spoke about this fire already a few times. The fire, there are two main, I will say, big things, okay, with the men in this world. One is the invention of the wheel. It's a very big invention. And the second one is the invention of the fire. The fire, okay, is not invention. I would say it's something that we, the human, are using. We are using in the right way to shape things, to reorganize things, to take metal from the ground and to shape it to a car. We're doing the fire, with the fire we're doing everything, even the lights. Almost everything we're doing with the fire. Now, men can control the fire. Animals cannot control fires. Now, the main question is, from where exactly we got the fire? There's a very big difference on the way that we got the fire between the way that the old Greeks and all the stories that we have in the main world and the Hebrew world. In the main world, we're speaking about that men stole the fire from the aliens. Not men, sorry. What's his name? There was one of the aliens stole it from the aliens, the fire, and he brought it to the people in the world. And they were very upset with this. And it was a big fight in heaven when one of the aliens stole the fight from the aliens. What his name was? I forgot his name. I'm sorry.
Rabbi, that sounds a lot like the Christian concept of a war in heaven.
Of course. The concept.
It was Prometheus.
Who said?
That was me, Rabbi. It was Linda. It was Prometheus.
Yeah, exactly. Prometheus, exactly. Prometheus stole the fire from the aliens and brought it to the men. And since then, he is punished that the bears will eat his liver every day, and everything else. Now,
rejuvenates.
why are we saying that it's very related to the Christian understanding? Because it's putting a situation of some sort of a debate or some sort of jealousy between God and man. No, the fire was supposed to be only for the aliens. How come men got the fire also? In the Hebrew tradition, God gave Adam and Eve the understanding how to use the fire. He gave them on Motzei Shabbat, on Saturday night, when the darkness came to the world. He gave them, and man was very afraid because of the sin that he did. He gave them two rocks that they will put them, one against each other. And this is how they started to use the fire. So it's not that God have some sort of a jealousy with men, but God is giving men the way how to reorganize the world. He is helping him to find the next way. And this is exactly the main, I will say, debate between Nimrod and Abraham. Nimrod is saying there is no God here. And if there is some sort of a God, we have some sort of jealousy against him, and we need to fight him, and we need to win him. And therefore, I'm going to be the king. He was the first one to become a king. I'm going to be the king, and nobody else. And from here, we're coming to a lot of jealousy and other things that is coming also to suicide. And you know what? I'm going to say that, even though I think that Donald Trump did a lot of good things, but he also finished with a very hard accord where it took him out, this jealousy and this honor that he wanted, and we saw what's happening. He wasn't the first one, Donald Trump, okay? But we know that it's happening around the world. This is one way to look at things. The other way to look at things is that God created this world. He is giving space to people to live here, and we, as part or that we have connection with God, and He is not with the jealousy against us. He is trying to assist us, to help us, and He is giving us the way of life, and we are imitating His ideas and His behavior, and we also giving space to others to live. This point to start as Nimrod or as Abraham is a decision that no one can force anybody else to decide or to take. And this is a point that I wanted to explain. Now, we have today, in our world, a lot of atheism that is coming. Started with Nietzsche. It didn't start only with Nietzsche, okay? But Nietzsche managed to define those words in the right way, where he's saying all the time, let's put God aside, outside of our world. There is a say that Nietzsche said in one of his books, I think it was the Zarathustra book. He said that he saw that God died, and he was in his funeral. And after Nietzsche died, there was a note that came from heaven, and it was written down in the note. And Nietzsche died, I was in his funeral, signed God. Okay, so Nietzsche maybe died, but at the end, God never died and Nietzsche died. So the decision, are we studying my point of life? And this way or the other way, this is where we see already in the days of Nimrod, the situation that we have all sorts of people who are trying to move the world to clean it up from that we won't see that God created this world, or that we won't have any connection with God. And we have the opposite way around with Abraham, that is starting differently. And next week, what we're going to see, the exact three, I will say, sons of Noah, and how Noah decided that each one of them, where he is going to be, each part of the world, and what is the part of the Hebrew nation, and how the Hebrew nation already getting there, the part of the connection to connect all people around the world to be unity as one, I will say, world that is managing to work together. Those are the things that I wanted to say. If people have any questions, we will have a few minutes for questions, and then we'll move on to Lee. Good to see you, Lee, also. Yes, everybody. Not everybody together. People are silent tonight. Wow.
Rabbi, I have a question, if I may.
Yeah.
So we're talking this time, and we've spoken in past discussions about the partnership between God and man in creation. We have a phrase in Isaiah chapter 60, which is often repeated in Jewish circles. The phrase, it's chapter 60, verse 22, Be'ita achishena, and it's translated in the English, I am the Lord, in its time I will hasten it. And our oral tradition explains that if they are righteous, then I will hasten it. But if they are not righteous, then it will be in its own time. My question is, if they're not righteous and it will be at its own time, basically, God is kind of saying, I've had enough. And enough with the partnership. I'm driving the car now. And so, how do we merge this idea with the concept of a partnership?
A very nice question. I must say that I'm putting Lee here in this room, so if all of you are going to be shy, he will ask the questions. So, the Rabbeinu Saadia Gaon, 1,000 years ago, one of the biggest leaders that we had in the region of the North Israel. He's writing in his book that a human being will manage to realize all the Torah and how to behave by himself. But the only problem is that it will take a very long time, 1,000 generations. Therefore, God did us a very good, with his good will, he gave it to us after 26 generations in this world. Now, the understanding of Be'ita achishena, or that it will become faster, or that it will take time, the meaning of this is that the world, a long history, will manage to come to the time of the age of the Messiah by itself. But it will take a very, very long time. It's a very long circle. If we will take upon ourselves to behave faster, it will take less time. We see this also when God is saying the words that he will take us on the eagle flies, on the eagle wings. So if you will look inside to Rashi there, he's saying that God is afraid, just like the eagle is afraid only for men, God is afraid for man. How come God is afraid for man? And the answer is very simple. Because God really gave men free choice, man is the only one who can bring the situation that until the Messiah will come, it will take a very, very long time. So the issue is very simple. God is all the time is coming with us. Now it will take a very long time if you will take, if you will do it in a nature way, and it will take a very, very long time, as Rabbeinu Saadia Gaon said, but God will be with us all the time, partnership. And if it will be a bit more faster, it will take less time.
Beautiful.
There's a question in the chat.
Yes. Let me see the questions, just a moment. Just a moment. You mentioned that rebellion against a certain historical situation equals rebellion against God. Could you explain that? I said we need to be very careful with this, with those words, but I will explain this a bit. The situation that we have in any certain point of time, who brought us to this situation? A long history. Men with God. So when I'm against something, let's go for a moment as an example to the rebellion that there was in Russia in the beginning of the, in the late 19th century, where they had a very big rebellion against the Tsar Nikolai. And they basically did a very big rebellion, and they started this situation of the Russian, the big Russian understanding. The rebellion was against that a lot of people who had land, okay, used others as slavers, and they were very against it. Now, let's be very honest. Who brought this situation to this world? That kids from age of 14 till age of 45, they died very early then. And kids from age of 14 to this age worked for 7 days, 14, 15 hours a day inside the caves for the people who had land or possibilities, while the others, the masters, were sitting down at their homes and eating and drinking and doing, fun for themselves, without anything to give to the people who are working very hard, any rights. And this is the rebellion that started there. Who brought to this situation? You can't say that only men brought this situation, because we're saying God is one, and he is all the time also involved with what's happening in the history of this world. So the rebellion is not only against the situation, it's also some sort of rebellions against God who brought this situation to this world now. So every rebellions have also, it's also facing God and saying to God, I don't want the world to be in this situation. Let's speak about the rebellions of being Noahide, okay? And saying that to believe in Jesus as a Messiah, it's a wrong thing. Now, today, I'm looking around and I see that we have something like 1 billion people who believe in Jesus. I have also questions about in front of God. I'm saying to God, how come you brought so many people to this bad idea? Help us to take them out from this. To whom I'm pointing, to whom I'm speaking. I'm not speaking only to people, okay? I'm speaking with people. I'm trying to do my best to bring the world to a better world. But I have also a question with God. I'm saying to God, listen, God, you need to help us to move this thing. You don't want this to become. You're saying that it's not good that people believe in Jesus as God. It's against you. So help us to do something to put, that the coins will fall down for people, that they will understand what's happening. So with whom exactly I'm speaking? I'm speaking with people, but I have also some question with God, and I'm speaking with God. I'm speaking against him. I'm saying to him, help us to change the world, the situation. It's always a bit of duel, not only to the situation of the world, but also with God. Okay? Let's see, we have another question. I hope I answered. I hope it's okay. Okay? If not, tell me. Forgetting how does... Travis is asking, just a moment, Travis, okay? This is a side question. I want us to move to another one. How does a mass... it's a very, very nice question. Larissa is asking a very, very nice question. Larissa is asking, how come so many people forgot God if we started the world, all of the world, with Adam and Eve? The answer is very simple, Larissa. In the last 2,400 years, God is not speaking with us. We don't have prophets. Okay? Now, as long as God spoke with us through the prophets, we saw the presence of God in this world. Now that in the last 2,400 years, 24 centuries, God is not speaking with us, so we might forget that he's in this world. By the way, it's not that he's not speaking with us at all. He's speaking with us historically. Okay? I will say to you, it's like that. I will say it like that. In Lithuania, we don't have here people in Lithuania now, but this lesson started with people in Lithuania. In Lithuania, I have good friends, non-Jewish friends, okay, Noahide friends, that don't believe in Christianity at all, and they explained to me why. You know why? They said like that. They said, we the Hebrew nation, we won in the Holocaust. I said to them, how can you say this to me? Okay, most of my family died in the Holocaust. How can you say to me that we won in the Holocaust? And they said to me, very simple, jump 70 years, and you see, we were sure that we're going to kill all the Jewish people, and we're going to wipe them from Earth. And if you're jumping a few years after that, we built up a country. It's a very strong country, okay? So who is representing God, and who really won in this war? So it's not that God is not speaking at all with us, but you need, it's a bit more to listen to God. It's not that we have a prophet who is saying to us now, listen to what I'm saying, this is what God is saying, and something will come from, I don't know from where, from heaven, and everybody will see, we can see God. We can see God in all sorts of ways, but it's very hidden inside. This is why people forgot that He is around. Okay, this is more or less the main questions. I'm passing the things to Lee. At the end of this thing, if you will have time, we will also answer to Travis and his questions. Lee, your stage.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for including me again in our learning. Actually, Rabbi Chaim, I wanted to start with a question that you asked us, I think it was last week. And actually, as you know, we have some divine providence. I think you may have even given us an answer right now. So last week, here, I'll share my screen. I'll just remind everybody, kind of take a snapshot of where we're holding in Brit Shalom, in the daily living for Noahides. I split it up into 4 different sections: the foundation, man and God, man and fellow, man and self. We're holding in chapter 3 right now. Okay, the fundamentals of knowledge of God, which includes the belief in the one creator and not in other entities, etc. So we spoke at length last time on only 3 clauses, but I thought it was necessary. There's some pretty strong fundamentals here that really infuse all the rest of the learning. So I'll build upon that. And we spoke about learning from God. And Rabbi Chaim asked us last week, there are many things that we learn about God, about being merciful, about loving and kindness, etc. How can we learn fear from God if God has nothing to fear? And this was the question that I wanted to pose to the group. I think, though, as the stars align, as they say, as we got some help from heaven, I think that Rabbi Chaim gave us unintentionally a bit of an answer in his words just now. But if anybody else has other ideas, I'd be happy to hear. How can we learn fear from God if God has nothing to fear? So God is a giver. Okay, He has endless power and time and abilities. So giving and love and kindness, all those things, that's quite natural. So nobody. Okay. Rabbi Chaim posed. Please, yes, Linda. Please, I don't know. Is everybody able to open the microphone?
Yeah, I can open it.
Okay, good.
Lee, is it that we should fear, or is it fear as in awe, as in we should be in awe of Hashem, not frightened of Him, but actually looking at Him in wonder?
So that's a great question, and as Rabbi Chaim said, the term fear requires learning in and of itself, and as we hinted at last week, 2 very basic levels of fear that are discussed are what's called fear of punishment, which is kind of the baseline fear. Okay, somebody is doing something kind of out of because he's doing what he's told because there's a punishment otherwise, and then there's what's called, as you said, awe, or I guess the English word is awe. Basically, something is so great and so powerful, it shakes me to my core that I feel incredibly connected to it, and I don't want to be disconnected from it. I think that's a great question and requires depth. I think the question that Rabbi Chaim posed was more the first type of fear, fear of like either fear of basically missing out, fear of not fulfilling one's desires. I wanted to pose something similar to what Rabbi Chaim said. I didn't have a source for it, and Rabbi Chaim kind of spilled the beans, as they say in English. Fear out of love. Michaela, can you explain?
Okay, now I'm just thinking, since I'm a mother of 2 children, so it happens to me to discipline my children. And I can sense a kind of, let's say, kind of fear of me. But it's a fear not, so they are aware that I would never hurt them in any way, but only through respect out of me, they could, let's say, revision their behavior in a certain aspect. So I suppose that fear of God is being afraid of offending in a way, or of interrupting our love relation with Him, our respect towards Him. So I don't know if
I agree with it. I agree with everything you said. I think it's connected to what Linda said, and as we mentioned, there's these 2 levels of fear. If you want to kind of summarize them in the English words, it's fear and awe. So I think what you're saying connects more to the term of awe, kind of awe, respect, admiration, inspiration. But the original question that Rabbi Chaim posed was, if we learn many attributes, many character traits that what does it mean to be godlike? It means that we are trying to learn from God. We're trying to connect ourselves to the divine attributes, to the way God behaves in the world. Okay, so He expects of us to be kind, to be merciful, to be slow to anger, to be thoughtful. And the question was, then how can we learn fear from God if He has nothing to fear? So, if you will, we can continue the discussion if it's interesting for everybody. If not, we can use it for more. Please, somebody has something?
I have something. Rabbi Chaim said that the first thing we need to repair is relationship between our fellow man. And then after that, we can repair it with God. So do we learn fear kind of from our fellow man a little bit, because they were created in the image of God as well, or something? That's my, I don't know.
I need to know more what you mean, Timothy. Maybe if I'm understanding you correctly, again, it's this fear of causing pain, fear of distancing. If that's what you mean, then yes, please.
I'm saying that people are created in, man was created in the image of God. So are we able to learn fear from something from man which God created, type of thing?
So I think, personally speaking, I've learned a lot about my connection to God by becoming a father, by becoming a husband and a father. So knowing what it means to forgive. Okay, somebody's trying their butt off, and there are certain things that you wish that they would do a little bit better, but you see that they're trying so hard. So you learn to look the other way. You learn to be slow to anger. You learn to forgive. Bearing children, or raising kids, they are the endlessly needless creatures. Okay, and you know that they are entirely reliant on you. Okay, so it's an entirely thankless job, at least for the first 30 years or so. Just kidding, but still. So yes, there are certain qualities that, at least personally speaking, and I think they're I think that there would be sources for something like this, that we can learn about our relationship with God in our relationship with our fellow man. I agree with you. I basically, I guess we'll wrap it up. If people have other thoughts, we can do it at the end, or we can also use it for homework. But Rabbi, I had an idea, and basically I didn't have a source for it, and Rabbi Chaim cited something for us. Fear has to do with judgment. Also, fear has to do with judgment. I think we can learn fear when we get punished. Okay. Nevertheless, the question remains: how do we learn it from God? So anyhow, Rabbi Chaim cited this passage about God taking us on the wings of eagles, and the fear that God has through basically he allowed himself to have fear. Okay, it's maybe like in his essence. Okay, in the pure essence of God that we cannot fully understand, as we said also last time, that no human thought or word can fully grasp God. And as soon as we try to do that, we're in a sense, maybe even in a very delicate sense, that we're creating an idol. We're creating a limited version of God. But in his essence, okay, we cannot truly grasp God, but God in his relationship with us allowed himself to feel fear through giving us free will. So it's essentially like he put us in the driver's seat of creation. He said, I want to build a perfect world in which mankind builds a relationship with me, and through bringing my divine attributes into the world, builds a perfect world. But I gave him the driver's seat. So what if he messes it up? And it's this fear that God has, so to speak. Rabbi Chaim, do you want to expand? You're on mute if you're trying to speak. We can't hear you.
No, I don't want to expand now. Okay, I'm
okay.
Continuing on with your way of explanation.
Fine. So I think this is a nice. I think it's a nice answer. And again, I encourage you all. You can either we can discuss it at the end. We don't have so much time this time, but maybe next session also we can do a little bit of a thought experiment. Also, wonderful things to discuss in and of ourselves, and also with others around the dining table. As we said, also if in groups, it's not only in this forum that we can discuss things about our connection with God and how it plays into our life. Fine. So we'll go back to the text. We spoke last time about what it means to serve. We discussed last time clauses 4, 5, and 6 here, and talked about serving only the Creator and no other entity. And I spoke a little bit. I won't go into great depth now. I spoke a little bit about one's trust and confidence in God, and how that's it's also a very delicate work that we have to do. It takes a lifetime, and even anxiety to a degree is a lack of trust in God. So this is it's a lifelong enterprise, and also included in this is not worshiping. Again, even in an emotional sense, and certainly not in a practical or ritualistic sense, not worshiping other entities. Okay, so we'll get a little bit more into the details. Now we're moving into clause 7. Okay, clause 7 reads: forbidden ritual practices, not for the Creator's sake, include prostration, bowing down, or it's like either bowing down but it's really bowing down to the floor. Animal slaughter. Although it's a good question, Rabbi Chaim, if there's a distinction made for Noahides between bowing like, hello, sir, versus bowing all the way down to the floor. This is a good practical question. But moving on, animal slaughter, burning a sacrifice or incense, and pouring of a libation. It's not something that I'm intimately familiar with personally, but just poking around on the internet and reading a little bit, and also seeing some YouTube videos of present day rituals. I know that this is something that's still practiced in India, in certain parts of South America. Also burning sacrifices, also animal slaughter. This is not something that's like entirely banned across the world, mostly, but not entirely. Similarly, any ritualized recitation that recognizes lordship of another entity, such as with the words, "You are my God," is also forbidden. All these practices Again, and just something that came to mind when I was reading this is, we have in the English language, also I think also in the Hebrew language we say, or at least modern Hebrew, we say, yes, my Lord, or ken adoni. I don't think it means in this sense. This is kind of just a colloquial, everyday custom to say, yes, my Lord. It's more like a formal way of speaking. I think this means here in the ritualistic sense. Would you agree, Rabbi Chaim? And we cannot hear you. You're saying thumbs up.
I think that you're saying the right point, the exact point.
Great. All these practices are prohibited, and they incur punishment even when they are not customary among other members of the associated religion. Okay, so if there's some sort of religion in the world, and they don't necessarily practice animal slaughter, but a person wants to, burning a sacrifice, okay? Again, growing up in a secular home in America, we went to the smoke shop, and you see their incense. We took them home, and we started burning incense, because it smells nice. In any event, if somebody does this in a ritualistic fashion, even if it's not associated with such a religion, it's going to be forbidden, and it also incurs punishment. Clause number 8, we'll also dwell upon a little bit. It says, so too, it is forbidden to pray to any other entity. Okay, so we talked here about physical rituals, and here it's talking about praying to any other entity, to any entity other than God, or to perform any ritualistic act, such as ritualized dance and wearing special clothing or other customs, as is performed by idol worshippers. Such forbidden acts also incur punishment. So, as you can see, the general thrust here, the general message is we want to stick to the one and the only one. We want to distance ourselves also in the physical sense, and as we'll see even further on, we want to do whatever we can to distance ourselves from things that can distract our relationship with the Almighty, with the one and only. I want to dwell here a little bit on the first phrase here. We spoke about this last time, forbidding to pray to any other entity. Rabbi Chaim, you opened the microphone. Did you mean to speak?
I wanted to say it's very, very important to realize that, let's go, for example, if someone have, God forbidden, someone ill in his family, okay? He's fine, but God forbid, someone is ill, his aunt, his mother, I don't know, God forbid. Now, to whom are we going to pray? With whom are we going to speak? From whom are we going to ask that will help us? We have only one identity, I will say it like that. One God that we can speak with, the Almighty who created this world. If we are going to speak to any other, never mind what, okay? For example, let's go to the COVID-19, and today we have vaccine against the COVID-19. Are we going to pray to the vaccine of the COVID-19 that will heal us from the COVID? We're not going to do that, because the vaccine that we have is something that we invented, the men invented, and it's working, in the regular nature laws. But are we going to speak with another identity, any other thing, so we don't believe in God? And this is why it's very, very important. These things are forbidden to do any prayer to anything else except for God who created this world.
So I wanted to mention a different point, but based on your point, I'll mention a custom that we have. It's brought in the prayer books. I'm not sure if Rabbi Sherky brought it in the Noahide prayer book, but before we take a pill or before we take any sort of medicine, we say, please God, it should be your will that this tool that you gave should be a healing tool for me. That the tool that you gave should heal me, because at the end of the day, He's the one that created the wisdom and also the tools. So as Rabbi Chaim said, what I wanted to mention here is praying to any other entity. So I also, it's not something that I'm personally familiar with, but I know there's a custom in Christianity to pray to saints, that the saints should pray on our behalf. So this is, again, something we want to focus all of our energies to the relationship with the one and only. there are customs there are also Jewish sources for praying basically in the merit of the righteous ones. And what does this mean? Okay, so you might hear about certain groups of Jews who go to Ukraine praying in the merit of Rabbi Nachman from Breslov, or other grave sites of the righteous ones, the righteous mothers and fathers, and people go and pray in those areas. What does the major opinion say on this? Major opinion says that we are praying to God in the merit of the righteous ones. So they are incredibly righteous, and they have done a tremendous correction in God's plan, and we're praying to God that in their merit He should also have mercy on us. So it's still direct, but it's like okay, or like also going to ask for a blessing from a rabbi, or let's say from a Noahide sage, or even asking for your friend from your friend for a blessing. It's not that they are the source of the blessing; they are asking God to pray for you. So this is not going to be forbidden, because again, the prayer is directed only in one place. Hang on, there's a question here. Oh, it's a pretty long one. Pledge of Allegiance. Okay.
Two very good questions. Yes.
Two very good questions. Okay. I wonder, should we take them at the end? They're just quite long.
No, but they're very, very important. I think that
they're very important. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so Tony says, could it be as simple as we need fear to survive? Hashem created everything we need, therefore we don't need to learn fear from Hashem, because He gave an emotion we need to help us choose life. But then you're basically saying that we're not learning it from Him, if I understand you correctly. So it's possible.
Yeah, it's like, did you need to learn from Hashem to eat food or drink water or breathe?
So you're saying there's many things that we didn't learn from God, and you're including fear in this. I think it's a legitimate answer. We also don't I don't know of a Jewish source that we learn being ruthless from God. Not ruthless, but being linkom, to take vengeance. Revenge. Yeah, so you're saying there are things that we learn from God and things that we don't learn from God. Okay, I think it's a fine answer. I think the previous answer is also legitimate.
The second question is a very important one.
Let's see what we have here. So Larissa asks, does the American Pledge of Allegiance, in which standing facing the flag, hand on the heart, and saying, pledge of swearing allegiance to flag and country, using the words under God, which in a large sense, but not all, means for many the Christian sense and meaning of God, is this pledge, vow swearing, not to be done, or is this a different situation? Okay, I think this is a fantastic practical question. I think that swearing, you're not swearing, this is my attempt at an answer, Rabbi Chaim. I'll bow to your answer. But my attempt at an answer would be that we're not praying to this entity called the American government. We're saying that we're a member of this society. We're going to do whatever we can to help continue building the society. The creator and the allegiance, yes, we are going to be good citizens in this society. But the controller and the one directing this society is, as he said, under God. If this means, if the founding fathers of America meant it in the Christian sense, I think that is besides the point. I can, as a Jew, stand up and be very proud of being an American citizen and want to do the best that I can to be an American citizen, to help building the American society through my Jewish values. This is my attempt at an answer, Rabbi Chaim.
I agree with you 100%. I think that this is the exact situation. It's not that we are saying that the American government or even the American identity is some sort of Lord or God. And also, when you look on the dollar that we have, okay, it's also says that God bless America.
In God we trust.
Okay, in God we trust. So it's not that we're saying here, when we're standing in front of the flag and we're saying, okay, now the flag in America is being God. It's not that they are God. We're saying that we are part of this society. And it's something really different and really else. It's not the same thing.
Okay. So moving on to clause 9. Although additional ritualized forms of worship are also forbidden, they do not incur punishment unless specifically associated with idol worship. However, regarding animal sacrifice, burning of incense, prostration, pouring of a libation, punishment is incurred even when not associated with idol worship. And again, this goes back to the general message that we're trying to send here, which is distancing us as much as possible from these acts. Right? There are also many customs that are applicable to Jews. I think Rabbi Shirky brings some of them as like good advice, also for Noahides, that are meant to distance a person from the ways of idolatry in the past, and also the ways of idolatry in the present. Just one specific example that he brings is tattoos. You can say, okay, so in our Jewish sources, it brings that tattoos were of the ways of the idolaters. So, okay, kind of the dry explanation is we want to distance ourselves from the customs of idolaters. But you can ask yourself, okay, but I don't know that we see so many idolaters today who the worship of their god is through tattooing their body. Nevertheless, one explanation could be that it is, in a sense, it is a worshiping of the body, right? There's the Greek sense of exercise and building up the body, and it is certainly their artwork. It is kind of putting the body on a pedestal, literally and figuratively speaking. As they say, it's even called body art. So there is an element of distancing ourselves from God, and we want to stay away from this behavior in general. Burning Indian incense for the sake of good smell and not specifically idol worship also forbidden? It's a great question. It sounds to me like what we're reading here is that it's totally forbidden, which was chidush. It was a new thing for me to learn. It's saying here that burning of incense is a punishment is incurred even when not associated with idol worship. Nevertheless, Rabbi Chaim, I have to ask, I don't know, if I want to now burn a nice smelling candle in the room, is this considered idol worship if somebody does this in idol worship?
If you're doing it because you want to have a good smell, we're doing also as a Jewish people, we're doing this, when we're eating in some sort of places, or, we want to have a very nice environment. We're doing those things, in weddings or something like that. We're not doing this as a worship. So it's not that it's a very...
But here, the specific act...
intention.
But here it's saying this, even there's no intention. It's saying the burning of incense, even when not associated with idol worship. So it's this specific thing of, this brown stick that you light the end, and it does a nice smell for like 1 hour or something. It's saying this specific thing, it's forbidden, even if there's no intention.
May I ask a question?
No, I need to check this up also in the Hebrew translation. It's hard for me to say. I will check this up now. Okay. Yes.
Would this be referring to the burning of the priestly incense, which a lot of people out here take, and they do the blends in Christianity, and there is even an oil company out here that sells the oil, the blend of oil, and I contacted them and said, you're a Christian-based company, and you're giving something that God said you will not use except to anoint the priest. And they're making it, and they say because you are Christian, you have the choice whether to use it or not. And so I was just wondering if maybe these incense, and it's just referring to the holiness of how the blends are, and the ones that are in the Torah that are forbidden. And that's my question.
So as Rabbi Chaim is digging into the sources, Travis, I think that the prohibition here is a general prohibition. It's any of these burning of these incense, which I know that there's prohibition on Jews. I'm not sure if Rabbi Shirky includes it here for Noahides, but it's prohibited today outside of the temple to even attempt to mix the spices that were used in the priestly service.
Lee, can I say something? Just from my understanding, the term regarding, however, regarding animal sacrifices, burning of incense, prostration, it's a question of is somebody regarding it? Is there a personal attitude of giving regard to an action It's not like you light a candle because all the lights went out in the house and you light a candle for light. There's no regard. There's no personal reflection or regard given towards the act itself. Of itself, a libation, if you and I were to sit down and you got married and somebody raised a glass and said Mazel Tov, there's regard for the wedding, right? There's regard for the wedding. It's a question of what the regard in the act. I think Rabbi Goldberg will find that in Rabbi Cherokee letters.
In the Hebrew, I think it's an interesting interpretation. However, knowing the Hebrew behind this, I don't think that the word regarding here has any special significance. I think it's just meant. Please, Rabbi Chaim. פרק שלישי הלכה ט', כן.
Only Dan is right. Only if this is the way of worshiping this thing, okay? Now, there is מה שכתוב בעברית, נענשים על זביחה והקטרה והשתחוויה וניסוך, 4 דברים, שגם אם זה לא נהוג אצל העובדים, אבל זביחה, הקטרה, זה לא הקטרה של האש הזאת. ההקטרה הכוונה, ההקטרה,
צריך להסתכל במקורות, למה הוא מתכוון הקטרה?
אני מכיר את המקורות, אני הסתכלתי הרגע, זה מה שעשיתי. Let me explain this, okay? We have 4 things, 4 actions that regardless how people are worshipping this idolatry, in those 4 actions, everybody is not allowed to do them, okay? He's not allowed to slaughter. He's not allowed to sacrifice the animal on this way, and not to obey. Those are things that, regardless how you are worshiping this specific idolatry, those are things that you're not allowed to do. But to light the candle, if this is not something that is usually for this specific idolatry, it's not forbidden. If you're doing this as something to worship this idolatry, this is where it's forbidden, okay? We need to be very careful, because just to light a candle, even if it's giving a good smell, if it's not the way of worshiping this thing.
No, I'm sorry, Rabbi Chaim, there's a difference here. There's a candle. The thing that I'm referring to, it's different from a candle. Burning incense, it's a very specific, it's a different type of device. It's a stick that you light, and it has special fragrances. And I believe in the Hindu tradition, there's religious significance given also to the mixture of spices used in each one of these sticks that you light. This is the incense that I know of, at least in my secular upbringing. It's different from candle.
This is something that usually in the Hindu, it's an idolatry, right? So this is
it's being offered. It's being offered as a service to the gods.
This, okay, this is something that is not allowed. All right, you're more than right, because this is the way that people are worshiping this idolatry. This is what I explained. This is exactly what I said. This is some sort of idolatry, that this is the way that people are worshiping this idolatry. Therefore, it's forbidden. To Jewish, it's forbidden, and also for non-Jewish, it's forbidden. That's it. Because this is the way of worshiping this idolatry. If you're speaking about these specific candles, you're more than right. It's forbidden.
So somebody had this question. Thank God there is a flood of questions today, which is fantastic. So I forget who it was. I apologize. Matityahu, who asked this question about incense. And I think just to recap, also Matityahu asked, and also Travis, included in this, I believe, is the temple incense, is the specific recipe of the incense burned in the temple in the priestly service. We have here a number of questions regarding also a tattoo. James asks, I have a tattoo on my back. Do I need to remove it to be a Noahide? So I can tell you that absolutely not. And as we said also previously, our connection to God, our bringing God into our life is a stepwise thing. And I can tell you also there are many Jews who were raised in secular families, and they're slowly but surely coming back to their roots, and they're not going in to do any special surgeries. A person needs to make repentance and build on their, and ask forgiveness for God for certain things that they did in the past that are unfortunately cannot be undone. and these people have very specific tests. Their souls in this world have very specific courses that they need to run through, and each one has their specific test. But it's not like a prerequisite in order to become a Noahide. Larissa, I see you have here, it could be done later. Maybe we'll try to do it at the end, although we're getting here up to the end already. So just a moment. The answers to tattoos as well, especially if gotten before knowledge on it. Okay, so Larissa, we answered about tattoos. Where does our desire to do the right thing, to act in a righteous way come from? To have okay, I think this is Lisette. This is a good question. It's a little bit more philosophical, if you'll forgive me for delaying it for right now. Matiteo asks, but your intention is to derive just good smell and not worship. Although, as we said, Matiteo now, that these sticks, these incense sticks, which are, even if you're not right now intending, they are elsewhere in the world used specifically for idol worship. So then, no matter if you're intending, not intending, it's going to be forbidden. Angela and Mike ask, joss sticks. I don't know what joss sticks means. I don't know this.
I think she's speaking about the same sticks that you showed in the.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're saying that this is included in the prohibition. Fine. It's already 9:17. I guess we can go into these larger questions.
First of all, I must say a word here, and I really like that Matityahu brought also his young son inside to listen to the to listen today. Hi, good to see you. This is some sort of education from a very young position. Great. Kudos to you.
Okay, fine.
Fine. Questions?
Yes. Yeah. So we have here. Larissa asks for greater discussion. She says, to my previous question, despite the very popular Christian belief in the meaning of God is one way and not the correct way, it will have no negative effect on wanting to make a promise to be a good, loyal citizen, and is based on individual people and meaning the use of God as well, making such a vow. Again, I think going back to what Rabbi Chaim and I said, pledging allegiance to the American government, or if I'm a French citizen, if I live elsewhere in the world, I'm pledging allegiance to be a good citizen, to keep the laws of the country, so long as they don't it's not like a very, very clear preventing me from practicing my beliefs. There's now, God forbid, there's certain laws going into effect in Europe that are forbidding kosher slaughter. Okay, so that's kind of that's a very tricky place. But generally speaking, I'm pledging allegiance to this government to be a good, law-abiding citizen, and I'm saying also in this allegiance under God, at least in the American Pledge of Allegiance, that I think this is kind of the individual, as you said, the individual's conception of God. When you say I pledge allegiance under God, you can have in mind the one creator God of the Torah. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Where does our desire, Lisette asks, where does our desire to do the right thing, to act in a righteous way come from? To have the need to study and investigate, maybe it is from a basic natural fear installed in ourselves. You can say this. I think it is installed or instilled. I would say it's what's called the homing device that God plants inside all of us, the neshama, the soul. It is this soul, this otherworldly spark, if you will, of God that draws us to Him. That despite all of the challenges that we go through in this world, as we say, there's a blessing that we say in the morning. My soul remains pure. And it's this purity, as one rabbi once explained it to me, it's as if the soul is a light bulb. And certain things that we do in this world kind of put muck on the light bulb, but the light bulb it remains on. All we need to do is slowly but surely to remove the dirt, and it can shine bright. I see. Thank you. Very good. Do we have time for my first question? If not, okay. Great. Saying Shema Yisrael. Kol hakavod. Good job. Travis wanted to ask about Egypt, etc. Rabbi Chaim.
Let me see again the question. Just a moment. I need to.
Here, I'll just stop sharing.
Just a moment. Got
Got some big questions tonight, Rabbi Chaim.
Yeah, I'm looking for the question. It's very up. Travis. Yes, you wanted to ask something about today, so please ask. Yes, Travis.
Oh, hang on. I hit the wrong button and got kicked out, so I had to come back. Okay, so it's basically an analogy, and it goes back to Nimrod, since we're studying Nimrod. And so we look through history and the essences, and one of the classes I received from a organization in Alaska supported by Chabad about end times, revelation about the history and coming into the time of Messiah, that it's not a linear line, A to B. It goes out about halfway and it makes a U-turn and comes back, because the beginning is in the end and the end is in the beginning. So we came out with Nimrod, one world government. We know that the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians were all also one world government people. They were all trying to dominate and control the entire world and the wealth. And so that's why they kept putting themselves above God and down low. So if we bring that forward into today's world, I mean, things play out over time and we see them. And if we don't remember our history, we're bound to repeat it, right? So all of this plays into us going back into a governance by man over man, a one world governance, because what I have seen is that we only had two emissaries in the world, is what I would call them today. Not that's just my name, is that Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump were the only two that were restoring the nation of Israel to its original stance. So those two right now are under attack on our side. From the Noahide side, we have a commandment to create righteous courts and govern ourselves. Our courts have become corrupt and will not hear evidence. Is this part of, do you feel that we have mirror images from the past coming into today, like the prophets told us? We're telling Israel, if you don't come back, this will happen. They gave warning. They were here to say, if you're not going to come back to the Father is going to punish you. And so there is fear instilled in you at that point, because if you believe in the Father and you step away from him, he's going to punish you. And then you have that other fear that if you love the Father, you may disappoint him by not keeping his rules. So all of it kind of ties together with the message today and the happenings, the chaos going through every nation in this world right now. It's big.
No, I'm trying to understand exactly the question that you have, because you more did a statement here about the main way how you see, and especially how Netanyahu and Donald Trump did things in the world in the last few years. And it's true, by the way, that Donald Trump and Netanyahu did great things to the Hebrew nation and also to the world. I will mention one point, for example, okay? They managed to bring the Arab world, and we're speaking about billion of people, crack it down that they will start to think differently. Again, we didn't finish, but it's the first steps. But we see how the Arab world is starting to think differently. And those two did it, okay? Netanyahu and Donald Trump. Nobody else did it before. It took us, so it's an amazing thing, okay? Like, if I will say, the establishment of the Hebrew state managed to bring some sort of a new light and new thoughts inside the Christian world. And the same level we see today that Donald Trump and Netanyahu managed to bring a new way of thinking to the Arab world. So it's amazing. But I didn't understand exactly the question that you referred to us.
My question... Right. My question was, is should we look, because as we follow the weekly Parsha and a Haftarah, you can see almost headlines coming from the Torah of what is happening in Israel, what is happening in Europe, what is happening in America. You can find it right here. If you follow this book, it's not only how to live, it's prophecy, I believe. And so my question is should we look to this and kind of prepare our lives as we go through this? Because this is our message, because Hashem does nothing without telling us first. And he's telling us to prepare and to come closer to him so that we can have protection. Because if it's the playing out of Rome and Greece and Turkey and everything else again, then we have to be prepared for Mashiach. We have to be closer, right? My thing is should we look to the scriptures? Should we look to the Torah and the prophets for today's actions, to see, to blend them?
But Travis, the answer has always been yes.
Okay.
I think so.
That.
Please forgive me, Rabbi Chaim, but the answer has always been yes. Does God want us to find or become better leaders? The answer has always been yes. As we said, Rabbi Chaim said, we need to be partners in creation. We see, as Rabbi Hillel says in the Ethics of the Fathers, you see people around you not taking initiative, take initiative. Don't know with violence. Okay, speaking against what happened at the Capitol, yes, but you see people around you not taking initiative. It means God is putting you in a position where, Travis, you need to pick up the gauntlet.
Right. I was also going to ask if the President Trump having a Jewish daughter and a Chabad son-in-law, does that bring more righteousness into his house, as he is still a goyim? He's still part of the nations, and they are part of Israel. See, it's a blend of blood into both directions, right? Is that part? Could that fit into the prophecy somewhere?
Because
it's Jared Kushner really that's bringing the peace.
Different levels, okay. In one level, I'm attempting to say back to you, yes, of course, why not? But on the other side, I'm not God to say exactly. I'm not judging, in the right way to say exactly the truth is like that or like that. It is true that inside Trump family, you can find more sources of the truth inside, because he have also Jews inside. Did Trump took upon himself to become a Noahide? The answer is no. So I don't know exactly how to answer those questions. It's very complicated, and I'm not God to answer those questions. I'm sure that when Trump will be, up in heaven in front of God, God will judge him in the right way for the good things that he did and for the bad things that he did, like he will do to everybody else. Of course, bringing putting a Jewish family inside Trump family is giving him a lot of good points. Also, to become a Noahide is giving a lot of good points. So now you're asking me to try to do differentiation, who is better and who is less better. I don't know. I'm not God. It's hard for me to answer that. I'm also not a prophet, so it's hard for me also to answer.
There was a quick clarification from Matityahu. He asked, how can it be that my neshama, my soul, remains pure even if I already sinned today? And as we said, the soul in its essence remains pure. The person who is this soul in a body in this world, in this physical world, as we said, can dirty the soul, so to speak, in his or her actions. But the soul in its essence remains pure. And we strive to reveal the purity of the soul in our good actions and in repenting for our bad actions.
I think that we need to finish here. I think we went with the time very far. Thank you very much, Lee, for assisting us and being with us also with this. Hopefully next week. No? Done?
Hashem willing.
As they say, stay tuned.
Okay, definitely. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. Thank you very much, everybody.
Shavua Tov.
Shalom.
Blessings, everybody.
Shalom.